I know you feel it, the burning in your spirit, welling deep inside. You got a beast inside. I know it's hard to tame it, it's harder to explain it. Can't even get a picture, no matter how you frame it. There's so much pressure with all these external stresses, and definitely try to touch you. Gotta push them through the feeling, even though your mind is reeling. The power's deep inside and leaves you if you were willing. Got the power. Can you feel the power? This is the hour to release your power. Got the power.
I did this last week. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. This supposed to be a rough month, okay? But welcome. It's about the power shut up. And see, I go way too far with it. But no, welcome to another episode of the Power Shut Up podcast. I'm excited to have our guest here tonight. This is part 2 of trusting the process, reaping the harvest. So you're going to meet some more co-authors for this amazing book project. But before we get started, we wanted to, like they do in church, we're going to make some announcements. So what I wanted to first say is happy birthday to all of those who are celebrating their birthday this month. Enjoy. You know, I find any reason to celebrate, and birthdays is especially on the list. So happy birthday. Y'all know next month is my birthday's in April, so we're going to turn it up. But happy birthday to everybody. I also wanted to say happy anniversary to those who are celebrating love. Like I said, I find any reason to celebrate, and love is definitely one of those. So happy anniversary to those who are hanging in there, sticking it out, and loving on each other. I also wanted to say congratulations to anybody who's, written a new book. We got a new book coming out. Congratulations. Anybody who just bought a house, started a new job, took that class they've been saying they wanted to take. Congratulations to you. Keep going, keep shining, do your thing. So I wanted to make sure I did some shout outs. And I also wanted to remind everybody that the Power Shut Up is not just a podcast, but we also have a symposium every year. So we will be having a Power Shut Up symposium. We're going to move it back a little bit. I usually try to do it around April or May, but we're going to push it back a little bit because we actually want to pour into it a little bit more and do some special things. So more to come there. And I'm also going to have the Hidden Treasure Awards. So for those who remember the year before last, we did the Hidden Treasure Awards where we recognize people who are considered hidden treasures in the community. We actually gave them an award, and we will be doing that again this year, probably in November, December. So more to come with that. But without further ado, I would love to bring my guest in so we can have a great conversation about how to trust the process and reap the harvest. And that's a whole thing in itself. We talked about this before. These ladies have actually graced the pages of the podcast, many pages of magazines, whatever it is. We are out here spreading the word. So I'm excited to have them here. You all have met some of them, and we're going to meet some more ladies. So I want them to introduce themselves, and then we're going to get into some questions and find out how they got into this process, why they wanted to do this, and what they are wanting the readers and anybody else who talks about trusting the process, what they want them to know about, what they think about it. So we're going to start from the top. I think it's Latrish. I'm going to go around. So tell us who you are. And then tell us a little bit about why you said yes to being a part of this book project.
Yes, thank you, Miss Lisa. My name is Latrish, and I am the founder of Affirm Life Fitness, where I promote wellness, total wellness. And I joined this project with Dr. Mary last year because it's something I've always wanted to do, was to write. And I'll mention it later, but part of trusting the process was the timing of this offer, that I was offered to join with her. So part of for me, trusting the process here is just trusting God's timing. And I believe that this season of this book and even a part of this project is how I ended up here with Dr. Mary doing this. And so, yeah, I'm not for sure what else to be to share right now. I'll say the rest for later, but
we got more questions for you.
okay.
So Dr. Talia, share with us what made you say yes to this project and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Talvia Peterson, CEO and founder of A Pink Success LLC and sole proprietor and owner of Here to Serve Realty. So I'm excited to be here. I'm an accomplished author of Never Do Average. It's a gratitude journal, and we'll talk about that, how that plays a major role in my life. And I'm just excited to be here. I'm a certified coach, a licensed realtor, and an approved real estate instructor. So I said yes to this particular project because I believe everyone has a story, but it was time to tell my story. And so this was the perfect timing and opportunity. I feel that it was time to share the story because you just never know how impactful it'll be for so many. And so I was confident enough to step forward and join the project. And so I'm excited to be part.
Absolutely. And Nicole, tell us why you're yes and who you are.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Nicole Guanzura. I am a mama, wife, early career development strategist, and really passionate about women's ministry. And I'm the CEO and founder of Education Advancement Consulting. And we're really focused on supporting women, first gen, and low income individuals as they seek fulfilling careers as well as higher education opportunities. And I said yes to this because the Lord literally told me, I need to tell my story. Literally, in so many ways. He's such a gentleman and pursued me. And I heard him loud and clear. And then Dr. Huntley approached me with this opportunity, and I had to tell my story. I said yes, and I'm trusting the process and the Lord's calling on it.
I love it. I love it. And Dr. Teresa, why your yes? You're on mute. You did the same thing I did.
There we go. Hi there. I'm Her Excellency Dr. Teresa Mosley, a United Nations Peace Ambassador, a U.S. Army veteran, a retired educator after 28 years, a 15-time best-selling author, and 20 books in my bookstore. I am also a TV host of Changing Lives by Changing Hearts on Onstage Plus, and I'm an international motivational speaker. I said yes because of the team. Huntley and Dr. Jennifer are great to work with. I have a hard time saying no to wonderful people, and I'm really excited. I took another twist to trust the process, reap the harvest. I'll talk about that later.
Absolutely. And it's interesting how everybody, when they talked about why they're yes, and when you shared, who you are, it's clear that everyone had to trust the process to get to where they are because you all are some busy ladies. So if anybody can talk about trusting the process, it's these ladies that are sitting here with us. So I wanted to start off by maybe asking each of you, because we know that life is full of processes and lessons and blessings and difficulties and trials. And we've had to go through them while we're getting to where we are, which to me involves trusting the process in a major way. So you've met speed bumps and stop signs and roadblocks and things, but how can we expect to, reap a harvest after encountering all of these challenges? What would you tell somebody? Is like, I've gone through all these things. I'm kind of beat up. I'm torn down. How do I even believe that there's a harvest, let alone get to the harvest? So what would be your advice? And let's start with Dr. Teresa.
For all the trials and tribulations in the world, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is an answer for every problem. There's a solution for every problem. You just have to trust the process. That's my number one thing I tell people. No matter how bad things get, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And if you learn the lesson from whatever that trial or tribulation was, then you are a winner.
I love it. Nicole, how about you?
I am leaning heavily on Galatians 6:9, and it says, "Do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time, right, you will reap your harvest." And I know my God is not a liar. He is not man that he should lie. His promises are true. So when he says you're going to do that, you're going to reap your harvest, and not to grow weary, I am going to trust that. That's what I lean on. So my advice is just not to grow weary. There is that time is coming, and it is promised, and there are no lies told about it.
What about you, Dr. Tavia?
Oh, wow. Those are some powerful things already. Let me see if I could just add to the amazing things that's already been said. I mean, we know encountering challenges and obstacles in life is inevitable, and it's part of the journey. And so what I would say is probably three things. Probably, maintaining a positive attitude, that your mindset plays the most crucial role in how you perceive things, how you respond to things. I would say keeping the end in mind. I don't know what it's called, but it's either horse blinkers or horse blinders or bumpers or something, but they're I think they're called horse blinkers, but keeping that focus and putting those blinders on right here so that you will not detour with so many distractions in life has been a key. And then I would say probably finally, be coachable. Don't hesitate to ask for help and receive feedback. None of us could be where we are if we weren't coachable to get there. And so that's sort of what comes to mind for me.
I love that. Okay, Latrice.
Yes, I'm like Dr. Tavia. It's mindset. It's the same where I was going to go to too. Is just maintaining that positive mindset, so you're going to become discouraged. Like three things that I tend to coach with myself is, every setback there got to be a comeback. Or either I'll say like there's a blessing in every lesson. Let me take time to see what God wanted me to learn in this. How could I apply it to the next step? Or any other one is like, delays aren't denial. So we might get detoured or have to take a different way around, but we still trust in the process that we're going to get to our end goal. So maintaining that mindset and having those, having certain things we can coach us. Sometimes we have to coach ourselves. Like some of us are coaches, but sometimes we have to coach ourselves. And so having those go-to phrases or words of encouragement definitely help us get through those obstacles.
Yes, I'm taking notes in my head, thinking about, okay, yeah, I got to do better. Because I mean, what I'm thinking about based on what all of you are saying is that we really have to believe we can, believe we can get through. I mean, because if you don't believe it, I don't know, it makes it a tougher road to follow, but we have to believe, and then staying positive is definitely one. I know that it sounds like the most challenging thing you can do when you're in the middle of something that's so negative or hurtful. But I would say that if you train yourself to practice going to the positive space, eventually it'll become a lot easier. I love what you ladies said about that. So I wanted to first welcome people who are tuning in. Thank you, Dr. Gail, for joining us. She has a podcast she does sometimes with the ladies. And so I think hers comes on right after this. So thank you for tuning in, because I know you're preparing. She says some very powerful ladies here on this podcast, and hello to everybody. So thank you so much for tuning in. But I wanted to take us to another question, because we got some good questions here tonight to give people something to think about and to get ready for this book. So it has been said that successful people often have a secret weapon. Grounding practices that anchor you in the midst of life storms and things like that, where it's the rhythm of deep breathing, meditation, silence, prayer, whatever it is, to help you, get into the flow of sharing how you getting, because not only do you have to get through the process, believe it and all that, you have to figure out how to put this pen to paper and express that so someone else can gain from it, because sometimes they can't really understand the feeling. You got to, talk to them about it. So share with us some practices that you all do to prepare yourselves, not just to trust the process, but how you prepared yourself to get ready to share this with others. So let's start with Dr. Talia.
Wow. This is a loaded question. You know, gosh, some secret weapons. I mean, I decided many years ago, 20 plus years ago, that I would be an energy giver. And it probably was in me way before I decided that's what I was going to do. And so that would be the first thing. And then the second thing I would say as a secret weapon is I'm committed to engaging in the practice of gratitude. I mean, it has been for those who are in mental health, which I'm not a mental health specialist, but I do study a lot. And I will tell you, just practicing gratitude decreases level of anxiety, depression, sleep quality, your self-esteem, your confidence. And so journaling every morning, every night is truly, truly my secret weapon. And
Wow.
I can't say that enough. Those will probably be my biggest secret weapons is giving energy and how I can give joy to others every day. And I have to find something not only to give joy to others, but I also have to find something where I can show love to myself every single day. And that could be a 30-minute massage with that electronic massager that just squeezes your feet. My daughter gave it to me, and sometimes you just need 30 minutes, no devices, of squeezing. And that's showing love to myself. So those would be my secret weapons, Lisa.
I think I have some of those. Journaling is something I've done all my life. I didn't even call it journaling. I was just like, I got to write this down. So I had notebooks everywhere. I didn't even know it was journaling back when I was younger. I just was like, I got to put this down somewhere because in my mind, I was thinking that's how you release what's on your mind, what's on your heart. And then I went back and read a lot of the things and it helped to motivate me. So let me ask Dr. Teresa. So what is one of your, I don't know, what are your secret weapons? Share something with us. Don't give them everything though.
It's a trifecta, though. It's my faith in God. My last words of my dad, who would have been 104 on March the 3rd when I launched my book. And my secret weapon is my organization. Last October, I didn't realize it, but I signed on for 4 book projects. 4! But that wasn't nothing but divine intervention from God because I knew that I needed to be surrounded with these wonderful people and women to lift me up because during that time I lost 2 family members.
Wow.
And so if I didn't have this work to do, if I didn't have these deadlines to meet, if I didn't have a conference in London, I probably would have been just really depressed. But
Right.
I have my faith in my God and I listened. So I said, you say yes. And so my faith in God, my father's last words, go live in your purpose. There's no glass ceiling for you. And my organization keeps me on task.
I love it. I love it. And that speaks to sometimes we complain about, a schedule that's kind of loaded and you never know why you've loaded that. Cause I know I've been in that space. So I was like, I said I wasn't going to do this. And then it's there. And then you figure out why that happened. So I love it. I wanted to do a shout out. Dr. Mary is tuned in. Thank you so much, Dr. Mary, for tuning in. She is the visionary of this wonderful book project, Trust the Process, Reap the Harvest. And she is cheering us from the chat room. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And she is part of this wonderful rollout of how we are exposing these co-authors to the world. And I think she's just getting started. So y'all ain't heard nothing yet. So just get ready. Remember these names that you're seeing because you're going to see them again. So I'm going to pass this over to Latrice and tell us, what your secret weapon is.
Yes, a lot of what everyone already shared. Self-care is paramount. It's like necessary, behind the scenes, that the opportunity to recharge yourself,
Yes.
to make sure that you're able to present your best self. So whatever that self-care looks like, but when you said, Miss Lisa, was prayer and silence. Like sometimes I don't want to answer my phone. I don't want any messages. I don't leave my house. Like just being still.
Yes.
And just giving that time to myself, that time for God to just speak to me and just show me like a new direction or whatever I might be doing right or wrong, but just that quiet time of doing absolutely nothing is more than enough for me. And another thing that I'll share is accountability partner. Because I tell you what, sometimes I can be my own enemy just with procrastinating or just being overwhelmed with too
Yeah.
many tasks. And so I will literally be like, hey, next week ask me about this. Like I just need that push sometimes when life just can get overwhelming. So that's another secret weapon that I have too, is other people helping me. That just my family or close friends that know the load that I have, that's able to help me maintain that balance.
I love it. And Nicole, your turn.
Yes, all of mine have been mentioned. I will highlight journaling, which I just started recently, prayer, of course, and God has surrounded me with a powerful village. My village, I was just sharing the other day that I am not a self-made business owner. I'm not a self-made person. That's not a part of my story. I'm a village-made business owner.
Mm.
And my village, when I prayed to God for people who I can call on, who can fast with me at the drop of a hat, who can pray with me, that we can go back and forth through the ups and downs of life together. That is my secret weapon. That is my tangible form of God's love through the people He sent me.
I love that. I was thinking about it because this is a great question. And I thought about what do I do in those moments? What is my secret weapon? But I thought about what I do, and if you all can picture, because me and my husband are big kids at heart, so we laser tagging and everything else. We're way too old to be doing this stuff, but we having a good time. But do you know when you go laser tagging and they always have you go back? You're out there doing your thing, you're out there doing what you do, but then you have to go back to that center place where you have to recharge. I always kind of explain it that way, where I actually literally will retreat to home. I get silent and I kind of focus on my core, which is, Dr. Teresa mentioned it with God, but my husband is my core, like he's there. I know who's in that little space where I recharge. So sometimes I have to kind of let go of everything that's out there, all of the noise, and then get back to something quiet, and it actually refreshes me, it reboots everything, and then I can go back out there and do it again. So I always kind of picture going to laser tag, and that started to make sense to me. Like, yeah, sometimes you just got to go back home and recharge, and it won't work until you do. So I mean, it's kind of like your body will shut you down until you go back and recharge. Put something on that battery, or the battery's like, nope, we're not doing anything else. And I would say to the self-care that I have trained myself to get better about doing that before my battery shuts completely down. I think we do that too much. We wait till the battery goes absolutely dead, and now we're running back home to recharge. So I'm working on doing better with that, but I love what you all have shared. So I wanted to ask you all a question about why trusting the process is essential in order to reap the harvest. Why is it necessary? Why is that the key to reaping a harvest? So we'll start with Nicole.
In order for a process to take place, I think about it as having to go through certain steps to be able to get to a certain goal, to be able to reap your harvest. You have to follow those steps. And so when I think about just trusting the process, it's so important to follow your steps, learn the lessons that are going on through it. And stay motivated by what is potentially ahead, what that light of the tunnel looks like, what that harvest could potentially look like. But you cannot get there if you are not, just like we do every day. You need to take one step in front of the other to get to that. And so for me, that's what trusting the process means, taking one step into the next. And when you get to a certain place, you've got to either reevaluate or check your guidance again, or you're just affirmed in what you're doing and you keep going and you keep going until you get to where you need to go.
That's right. And you keep going and you keep going. Dr. Teresa, keep it going.
I couldn't have said it better, Nicole. You have to start somewhere. If you think about it, when life begins, there's a process. The 9 months of baby, that's a process. When you go to school from K1, grade K to 12, it's a process. When you go to college, everything is a process. You have to start at one, right? And
Right.
so someone said it earlier, you might run into some brick walls, but they are meant to be knocked down. And there's somebody there to help you knock those brick walls down so that you can reap the harvest. So I'm going to say exactly what Nicole says. You've got to start from one, start the process. If you want an end result, you have to begin somewhere.
Absolutely. Latrish?
Yes, I'm going to also, piggyback on them too, because that was directly where I was going as well. Like, I mean, it's essential to reap the harvest because there's just simply no way around it. I mean, like everything that we do is a process. We talk about refining gold. We talk about we plant a seed. You have to water. You have to prune. You have to wait for it. Even the clothes we wear, we have to first grow the material, do the designing, I mean, everything requires a process. So it's essential because it's just simply no way around it. So you may as well go through it as best as you can, trusting God, just believing by faith, going through it with grace, and just trusting and just seeing it through, because it's you could either go through it the hard way or, or God's way, really, one of the two ways. So that's what I would say why it's essential.
Okay. And Dr. Tavia?
Oh, I would just say, gosh, you guys have said it all. The only thing that I can even add is, it's the journey, right? It's not the destination, it's the journey. And the journey in the process is what we've been talking about. It just builds so much. It builds resilience, right? It builds patience. I know it has for me. And I think it really strengthens just your determination. But at the end of the day, just understanding that it is the journey and not just the destination.
Right. And, I wanted to add, because yes, you all gave some great answers to that question. And I was thinking, and all of this is about commitment. You have to be committed to whatever it is you decided you're going to do. And even if you have to switch up and change, and as I say, plot twist, yell out, something different happens, you still have to commit to the new plan. Either way you go, you have to commit to it. You have to be ready for whatever comes. And I think a lot of times people commit to the good things, like this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And they forgot to commit to the things that weren't going to go so great, so part of that is commitment as well. So that's what I would add to it. But I wanted to, in all that we've discussed so far, and the answers you have given have been really powerful. So explain to us individually, like how did trusting the process, say you run across a situation where it was a little difficult to be able to trust the process, you were very challenged, but how has it impacted your life to go through something and learned how to trust the process? How has that impacted your life? How has it helped you going forward? Has it become an easier process or journey, or are you still struggling in some areas? So I'm going to start with Latrish.
Yes. That's a good question. I would say, that's a good question. Because I was going to go back to what Dr. Tavi was saying about the journey.
Life be lifing, right?
Yeah, it's going to happen, and I say that, I've been through some difficult things, whether it be personal or, professionally, or just some personal endeavors in life. But I will say that once I allowed myself to go through it. When I look back I think about the things that I gained, whether it be knowledge, whether it be character, like you said, patience. Someone said patience. I use, like the Bible says, that patience have its perfect work. We just have to let that thing play out, and just let it do what it's going to do. I think about that when I think about going through those processes and those, it would be a trial, tribulation, or even sometimes good things. It doesn't have to always be a bad thing when we go through a process. It could still be like, Dr. Teresa said, like a baby. It's a beautiful thing, but there is still some growing pains even in that process, even though
yes,
the outcome is a beautiful thing. So, I just think just character, patience, endurance, all those things come with it.
Okay. And Dr. Tavia, tell us how it's impacted your life, trusting the process.
I would just have to go back to where I got my first passport and decided that I was going to expand in a country that I did not know the language, and spent 2 years investing in that country and did not reap the harvest that I thought I should have reaped. And then investing in another totally different country of a totally different language that I did not speak, and trusting that process. And what I learned was the biggest reap was me. It was the increase in my confidence. It was the increase in my faith. It was the increase in my patience and understanding what trusting the process is all about. And then it was just the increase in understanding who I was, as well as the ability to work with others respectively. And that was the biggest reap that I've had.
Wow. Nicole, how has it impacted you?
For me, I didn't actually recognize it at the time. I was born and raised in Harare, Zimbabwe. So the first half of my life was not even in the United States, nowhere in this country. And my parents decided to move us here for better opportunities. And at the time, it felt like my entire world was crashing around me. Why is this happening? Why are you uprooting me from everything I have ever known? But God had given them their vision of what they needed to do. And us stepping foot in this country and the resources that were available to us, that was a seed that was getting planted in what I'm now doing 20 years later.
Wow.
Talk about just God's perfect timing, but just not even realizing that every single step I was taking in my life, whether it was going this way, that way, not even acknowledging him in it, he was still working all those things out for my good. So in that trusting, now I can look back and say, wow, God, you were so intentional. Wow, I can look every day now and look at that long path, that long process that took 20 years to affirm where I am right now, knowing that I'm living in that purpose for my 12-year-old self.
Wow. Wow. Dr. Teresa?
By trusting the process, I am successful, fulfilled, prosperous, and I have inner peace. I went from a high school diploma to the Army as an enlisted to an earned PhD. I went from being homeless for 3 days to owning 2 homes. I went from having no car to having twin Mercedes-Benz in my garage. I went from speaking to one group of people to speaking to people all over the world. I trusted the process and I reaped the harvest. And the one lesson I learned is that I knew my gift was my voice in speaking and writing. I knew my passion was serving others, but my purpose was to make this world a more peaceful place. And when I started serving other people and showing them how to reap the harvest by trusting the process, that's when I became fulfilled.
Actually, you led me into what I was thinking. I was like, overall, how has it impacted my life and trusting any process? Because believe me, there have been some things that, and I'm sure you all can say that we have gone through where we're like, I don't know, did I trust the process? or was I just dragged along through this? And I was like, I don't know about this, but I got through it. But it was funny, Nicole, when you were saying, I've done a post or created a post where I said, every step is the next step up. And that's how I choose to think about everything, whatever step it is. I know we always say you step up one and then you get pushed back two, but it's all part of the process. So there's a reason that you had to step back, and maybe you need to see the picture in a bigger light. Maybe you had to see some things, or some things had to happen before you got there. But on the other side of it, Dr. Teresa, to what you were saying, I found a piece that I'm not willing to give up anymore. It's all worth it, because I'm going to trust the process regardless of what comes. And I think a lot of times I wasn't at peace because I was busy trying to fight the process. I was trying to change the direction. I was trying to make it do what I wanted to do. So I found a piece that I don't want to go back to the other way of doing things. So I love what you all ladies have said. And what I like to do for this part of the Power Shut Up podcast is to incorporate the power shut up. And what I mean by that is that you all have talked about trusting the process. And I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in. UCDI leadership. I see Dr. Mary is in them comments that she is lifting up. God is definitely intentional. Yes, indeed. I wanted to tap into, she said that he that is greatest among you, let him be your servant. Serving in our God-ordained areas is very fulfilling. Absolutely. And there is so much peace in that. Whatever costs my peace is too expensive. How about that? I wanted to tie this into the power shut up, and I'll tell you how. I wanted to ask you, in trusting the process, I'm big on communication and the who, what, when, where, if, how, on saying something. So tell us or share with us a moment where you had to trust the process, and part of that was you needed to either be quiet or you needed to speak up. And how that was for you. Was it uncomfortable? Did you flow through it? Or was it, it might have been very challenging. I know for me, I could share some challenges with that, but I wanted to go around and just kind of ask you, how did communication wise trusting the process affect, whether it was being quiet or speaking up? Dr. Teresa, let's start with you. You're on mute. See, she said, be quiet. No.
Yeah, I used to be a high school principal, so I had to.
Oh my goodness.
Really emphasize the power of shut up quite a bit when you're dealing with so many different personalities. But in dealing with some particular children, everybody is different. You can't treat everybody the same because people are different. And so I learned how to actively listen. If I was talking, and it wasn't reaching, then I had posed an open-ended question and sat back and listened. So that's how I handled that. And sometimes you need to redirect. Like, I one time was trying to get a student to tell me what he was feeling, and he couldn't tell me what he was feeling. And I kept asking questions. That just wasn't working. So finally I said, okay, what do you like to do? When I said, what do you like to do? He was about 6'3". He stood up. I thought he was going to say he loves to play basketball. He says, I like to draw. I'm an artist. I said, oh, then can you draw me what you're feeling? How about that? And then when he drew a broken heart with tears in it, that just led me into the next phase of actively listening to him about that pain that he was going through. So yes, I do have to exercise a lot as an educator, the power of shut up and just actively listen.
I love it. Yeah, listening is key. People, they don't believe it until you want somebody to listen to you. So it is a matter of, if you want me to listen to you, then I think you should listen to me. So before we get to the other ladies, I would like to take a commercial break. Just to, so we can loosen it up a little bit. You all take a sip, but don't go anywhere. We are still right here. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. So I didn't do this last week, but I had the wonderful opportunity of having a feature in magazine for the Power Shut Up. And I'm excited about any time that I get to talk about shutting up. And shutting up. So I'm not telling other people to, but I love to tell me to shut up. It actually feels good now. So let's get back into what we were talking about. Dr. Teresa, thank you so much for kicking that off. That was a powerful story on how you have to sacrifice sometimes, what you want to say for the sake of others. So Nicole, I want to ask you the same thing. How did communication play a role in a moment where you had to trust the process?
When I left my job and had to sit in silence for a little while because I knew where the Lord was calling me, but just not the how. And I had to do a lot of prayer. I had to do a lot of listening and figure out, okay, God, where do you want me to go? I've walked away from a 9-to-5 and the only way I've known how to work. So I'm just going to be quiet and let you speak through that silence. And here we are 3 years later, and he has been answering.
Absolutely. Dr. Tavia.
Yes, I would say, you can't change what you're not willing to acknowledge. And that was probably the number one thing. And, just being transparent in the communication was extremely huge and crucial, as we know, in any part of the leadership. But that was essential in creating that trust in communication and creating an environment with team members that I had to take over an office. And so it just kind of creating that environment that I may not have all the answers. In fact, I don't have all the answers. And creating that environment where they feel valued and informed and empowered. But I love what everyone has said about listening, because that truly is key. But you do have to acknowledge what you might have to change, right, before you can even move towards change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Latrish?
Yes, the power of shut up. I'm a talker. I love talking. I love I don't meet strangers at all. But there are times when God, I just saw Dr. Mary actually just posted like just be still, and it's usually in my most toughest. Like I won't go into detail, but 3 of my most biggest challenges ever in life, where I mean literally, I just felt like I did not know, like. If I would have handled it on my own, I don't even know what the outcome would have been. Or if I would have spoke on my own, I don't know what the outcome would have been. And in those 3 different instances that I've had in life, where God literally just told me just to be quiet, like just like shut up, like you don't need to be validated, you don't need to be heard, you don't need to prove your point, you don't need to advocate for yourself. Just in this, be quiet. And it was probably the most challenging thing for me to do, because I, for myself and for others, I'm an advocate of doing right, like stating my cause, and in those moments, just trusting that process. One time I had to be quiet for almost 6 months.
Wow.
I was also in the military, and I was on a deployment where literally my safety could have been jeopardized, where I had to be quiet. And when I got back, it was, a lot came along with it. But in that, people saw my character, in that. It's like, I don't know how you could have done that, how you endured that. But about a year after that, the assignment that I had always wanted, the person who was in charge during that time, hand selected me, for this particular assignment. So I share that to say that sometimes we don't know why we go through what we have to go through. And in that moment, we have just so much to say, and God would just tell us to be quiet, and you don't need to advocate for yourself. You don't need to justify anything. And it allows him, the power of shutting up allows God to get the glory. Is the long story short, it allows him to get the glory in it and to really see that he was in part of it from the beginning to the end.
Oh, you just walk right into it. That's really what the power and Dr. Teresa is about. Peace. She talks about peace. The power shut up is really about peace. And I think I struggled with it big time. I didn't that was a whole trust in the process, because I did not believe at all that me being quiet about what is on my mind after you fought so hard for a voice, for someone to suggest that you need to shut up. Like, what, who does that? But I was like, I do that. I'm now telling people, because it was about, I had found my voice, but the problem is I wasn't using it wisely. And that's a problem. And to what Dr. Talvey talked about is you have to acknowledge that you aren't using it the right way. We all have the right to say things, but are you really thinking about what you're saying? Are you very intentional about what you're saying? You have to trust. And I had to trust, in using the trust in the process, I had to trust that me being quiet was going to lead me to a place where people would understand me. Because my thought process is, they can't hear me, how are they going to understand me? But in trusting the process, which I did, that was one of the biggest challenges in my life. When I did it, I was amazed, which is where the book came from, actually, because I had to tell somebody about this. They're not going to believe me. I have got to tell somebody. So I love what you all share, because communication is a part of everything that we do. And certainly in trusting the process in order to reap that harvest. The harvest for me was the peace on the other side. It's probably, and I'm sure Dr. Teresa will get this, but peace is everything for me. I mean, And I didn't even know what peace was until I shut my mouth and trusted the process. So that's why I loved what Dr. Mary brought to us with this when she was the visionary of this project. It really, kind of resonated with me, because I was like, boy, if you don't do nothing else, you got to learn how to trust somebody's process. I don't know who, but you're going to have to trust something. And I think about whether it's with work, whether it's with your children, whether it's with a spouse, whether it's on a business work project, you got to trust somebody, because you're not going to have any guarantees. You're just going to have to trust that whatever is supposed to happen is going to happen. So I love what you all have shared with this. What I want to do, because I'm going to make sure that everybody finds out where they can connect with you. I might ask you one more question to see if I can throw you off a little bit, but we're going to have a commercial break real quick and we'll be right back. So right now I'm moving around in TikTok. So if you have a talent and you want to share it, share your gifts with others, please check that out on TikTok. March 22nd. It's a talent show virtual on TikTok. So we would love to see you there, see what you got. Let us hear those pipes. Let us see what you got going on. But I wanted to kind of come back and ask you all a question in regards to trusting the process real quick before you let everybody know where they can find you. And then we have a couple of TikTok moments that we're going to share before we say goodbye. So in closing, I wanted you to kind of answer the question, name one effective way. I know we've talked about the things we do to kind of center ourselves again, but share one tip or effective way that you can share with people on how they can learn to, or at least take the first step in trusting the process and something they may be going through. So let's start with Latrish.
Okay, you said one step?
Yeah, one effective tip or step that you could share with somebody on how they can start to trust the process.
Okay. I would say each day just starting with a fresh, perspective, was one way that I would say. What I mean by that is, like every day we in the process, sometimes it's easy to look around and feel like we haven't really progressed, a little bit, so sometimes. So I always take a minute and look back. I was sharing with a friend the other day, long story short, I was sharing with her, sometimes we lose sight of how far we've come. So sometimes just looking back of how far we have come, there has been some progression, even when it doesn't feel like it. Just starting each new day with a new perspective, maybe to look back and say, I may not be where I want to be, but I could look around and see where I'm not where I was, and be able to continue to remain in the process.
Okay. Dr. Teresa, what do you have for them?
Start with a goal. Start with a goal, whatever goal that is, whether it's personal or professional. There, you can write the process for that. You can write the steps and the strategies. So start with a goal.
Great. Nicole?
Communicate with the people that are in the process with you, will help you get through it. But if you want to be able to be met, your needs to be met, to be supported in some way, to get through the process, or maybe you're just really stagnant, you need to communicate that, because people are not just going to guess what's in your head. They're not going to guess that you need support. They're not going to guess about what's going on. So you can never go wrong with communicating what your needs are in order to help you to get from where you are to get to the next step.
Love that too. Dr. Tavia.
Yes, I would say prioritizing progress over perfection and engaging in the practice of gratitude on a daily basis, morning and evening.
I love it. I love it. And I was actually going to add I'm thinking about what I've had to do, what effective tip was shared with me, and to be flexible, because in trusting the process, the process can change. It's not always what it started out to be. And to what, you all were saying, you got to believe in the goal. And the goal may change, the process may change, the goal may change, but as long as you're committing to it, stay flexible, be able to spin, or how do the young people say, keep your head on the swivel. I think they say something like that, but I mean, it's something to that. You have to be ready. You have to always be ready when you're trying to learn how to trust the process, because it may shift, it may turn. And you don't want to deter, because you can get distracted. You can get, feel like, okay, this didn't work out, so let me do something different. So I think somebody earlier too said, stay focused, go for that goal. So you can see it way over there. It might not be close, but as long as you know what it is and you can identify it, you can keep going. I have absolutely enjoyed having you ladies here. I wanted to have you all share where everyone can find you, stay connected with you, because Trusting the Process, Reap the Harvest is coming out this spring. Dr. Mary is in here just cheering y'all to death. She is just making sure everybody know this is not the last time that you'll see these ladies. And actually the first part one that we had, you're going to see all of these co-authors doing it. Okay. So make sure you take down their names, but let's start with Dr. Tavia. Tell us where we can find you and stay connected with you.
Sure. You can find me on Facebook at Talvia Peterson, Instagram, Talvia Peterson, LinkedIn, Talvia Peterson. I think it's only one Talvia Peterson out there. Website is coming. I'm also on TikTok at Talvia Peterson. Would love to connect.
Wonderful. Nicole, tell us how we can find you.
Absolutely. I have my link tree over there, simply EAC, and it'll link you to my podcast, Wellness with EAC. We can stay in touch weekly over there, as well as on LinkedIn, Nicole Gwanzura. You're going to find me hanging out there the most. So really excited to stay in touch.
Great. Dr. Teresa?
Yes, my website is creatingambassadorsofpeace.com. It links to all of my social media sites. So if you just click on my website, you can go to all of my social media. And you can also contact me if you'd like to schedule an appointment.
Absolutely. And Latrish?
Yes, my website is also coming soon, but right now I'm also on Facebook, Latrish Thomas, LinkedIn, Latrish Thomas, and Instagram, Latrish T.
I love it. So what we do usually when we end the Power Shut Up podcast, and I wanted to make sure everybody knows, you all need to reach out to these ladies. They're doing some amazing things. This book is going to be a wonderful contribution to publications everywhere, but they're also doing some wonderful things in their own right. So I really suggest that you reach out to them, discover what they do. They have wonderful projects that are coming up this year. I think 2024 has been a powerful year for a lot of these ladies. So please stay connected. I'm encouraging it. But what we do towards the end of the Power Shut Up is I always try to find some motivational or funny or sweet TikTok moments. Because a lot of times, and I would have to admit, my husband and I will sit out on TikTok and scroll through, and sometimes there's some really different things, but sometimes there's some hilarious things out there. But this evening I wanted to dedicate it because when I think about generations trusting the process, I feel like we should start young. That, you know, a lot of times we wait till we get older and set in our ways, and now we're trying to trust things, and it's so much harder. It's like swimming. If you don't get them started earlier, most time, you know, older people like that, I'm not getting in the water. I do not trust that I'm not going to drown here. So I wanted to share a couple of TikTok moments of some young people. Now, one of them is just my thought process was the young lady is kind of thinking about, somebody else is getting to do something that I'm not getting to do because I haven't completed my journey. I haven't done what I'm supposed to do. And the other one was determination. Young people just determined that they're going to do this. So I wanted to show the young lady first, Shariva, and then we'll kick over to the young man, and then we'll come back and say goodbye to everyone. So let's check out these TikTok moments. So that one was she had to eat all of her food, and she hadn't done that yet, but her sister was over there reaping the harvest because she did. So I thought that was the cutest thing, because she was like, wait a minute, what's going on over there? Let me get to what I need to do. And here's another one about determination. That last one was one I wanted to share. Recently, last weekend, my son celebrated his 25th birthday, and he's like his mom and dad. We still love to skate, and my grandson had never been on skates before. And one thing I said is he has to know how to skate. He has to know how to swim. So Gigi and Lolo are going to make sure he learned these things. But we took him to the skating rink, and just real quick, what happened was his feelings got hurt because he saw everybody skating on their own, and he couldn't get it together, and he was in tears. And we were busy kind of telling him, it takes time, it takes patience, you'll be okay. And my husband just kind of grabbed him and said, well, let's go on out here and let's try it. And they took him out there and let him go. And he had been telling us to let go, but we weren't letting go. And when he let go with them, he ended up doing it on his own, and no more tears. That's all he wanted to do. He knew he was ready. So it was just kind of showing that when people know they're ready, they'll let you know. And we need to listen because we weren't listening. We were busy protecting. And he was like, let my hand go. I'm good. And he was also good with falling. And it wasn't a bad thing for him. So I thought I would share that. So thank you all so much. I've appreciated you coming on to the Power Shut Up. This has been absolutely great. Thank you, Dr. Mary, for your vision. Thank you for allowing us to be part of it. We are looking forward to what's coming. I think we have some other guest spots on other podcasts coming up. So please continue to look out for these ladies, and we will see you next Thursday. We have a guest coming on, and I think we have a flyer, Shariva. So we're looking forward to having Stacey Thursday. And the reason why I thought it was really important to have Stacey on is because she's actually a part of the Power Shut Up book, and she's also part of the process that I went through in order to learn to shut up. So we're looking forward to having her here. She was one of those that took it straight to the Bible. And it left me speechless. I had nothing else to say. So until next week, have a wonderful weekend. Stay determined, stay focused, and start learning how to trust the process. See you later.
It's